We gave a press conference, and in a way it was just a way for the community to talk about how they're upset with the fact that, the mayor and the city council completely disregarded everything that we've all been talking about for the past 3-4 weeks, all over the country. They just acted like it didn't even happen. They went ahead with the budget that they had. The community here did all the paperwork. They did all the research and presented a plan, like a reasonable, viable plan. And they wouldn't even take a look at it, and it's that blatant disrespect to not even acknowledge what your own constituency is offering you, telling you that they want, and that's your one job, is to listen to that, and they didn't. Even in the town hall meeting, people were yelling, screaming for them to do something about what we're asking for, and they just aren't listening. So, people gave some statements, I gave a statement, and we're just fed up. Everybody's fed up, and we're kind of at this crossroads now of, well, what do we do next? Because right now they're just trying to stall us out. That's always worked for them. If we look at all the other big police shootings that have happened, and I'm just talking in my generation right now, and the past decade, right? If we go back to like Trayvon Martin, we'd go out, we're pissed, we go into the streets, we fuck shit up for a couple weeks, and they fuck with us in turn. They shoot more of us, or treat protesters terribly, and after a few weeks or a few months, it dies down, and then they get to do it again, and it's just like this endless cycle. I think what they weren't ready for this time around, with the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murders, kicking off this new movement, is coronavirus. You know what I mean? COVID is a big factor to this movement because everybody's at home. Everybody was at home. You're not at work. Normally these traumatic things, we see them in the news from all over the world. And then it's like, all right, well, I got to go to work. I got to pick up my kids. I haven't called my mom in a month, that sort of stuff. You think about it, yeah, that's terrible, but everybody's so focused on their regular day-to-day, it's hard to focus in on this trauma that doesn't always directly affect you. Yeah, as a black person, like, yeah, this affects us, and we're tired of it, but normally a lot of the times is we got to keep dealing with our day, whether we like it or not. This time, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Black, brown, white, Asian, everything, Everybody was forced to sit down, and you had all the time in the world to watch that 8.5 minutes of George Floyd being choked out. You didn't have anything else to do. You know what I mean? You had to sit there and watch it, And then with discussions about it, the discussions didn't die out because there was nothing else going on. So it's forced a whole other sector of the world, you know what I mean, of just the population to notice like this shit is real. And then with the protests, people are seeing that it can happen to anybody. 50 cops watched an old 75-year-old man get pushed onto the ground. He's bleeding out of his ears, and they just keep it pushing. People see that, we're visual creatures, seeing that, it's like, whoa, like, you really just don't care. And now we have to ask ourselves as a population, as a civil society, it's like, where do we draw our line? Where do we say enough is enough? Like, we're not putting up with this shit. Because any other country, if we knew that they were, tear gassing protesters and killing civilians and people were getting hung and murdered, we would be over there with all the strength of our democracy. You know what I'm saying? And quick and in a hurry, as long as they got a little oil in the heroin is good, And Trump got real close to crossing it, U.S. generals were worried. Like, are you going to cross that line into using the military on the people? Because that's, okay, Caesar. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, what you about to do, Stalin? How far are you about to go? He almost did it. He had the military there in D.C., because D.C. is technically not part of the United States. We're not going to jump into that right now. He's got his own separate jurisdiction over that area, so he can use the military however he wants. But for the rest of the country, it's like, all right, hold on. And that's not even a war. People are scared, to kind of come back. But, us regular people, we're scared of this situation. The fear of having to actually go to war and fight against, a militarized police is terrifying. I get that, you know what I mean? The prospect of having to lay your life down for something is terrifying, What people have to understand is not everybody is gonna be against us if this fight breaks out. You know what I mean? If the military gets called in, they're not all going to just willingly shoot civilians. There are righteous people, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, they're us. So some of them are gonna do it, some of them are gonna follow, but some of them are gonna be like, this ain't right. I can't, because they're gonna have to go in and shoot their friends.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They're gonna have to shoot their family. Right. You know what I mean? They're gonna have to take that call, like, do I do this? Is this the right thing to do? Right. You know what I mean? That's what I was debating on when he was talking about he was gonna send the military police officers. I was like, damn, is one of them gonna like go in there and assassinate him or something?
Right.
This is some Star Wars shit here.
It is, man. Even Star Wars is a great example, bro, of just like how far manipulation can go. Like, people hate on the prequels. I love the prequels just because of how sinister Palpatine's plan was.
It's real.
Palpatine creates two armies, right? He creates the clones and the droids, right? Has the Republic use the clones and has the Separatists use the droids, and has these two powers fight against each other. All while he pretends to be a regular lowly senator, right? He moves up in power, right? Eventually becomes the chancellor. And now the war is like insane, right? By the third movie, the war is insane. He's like, all right, look, I can fix this shit. Just grant me emergency powers to give me full, complete control. And he's gotten, because of this war, that he's been able to, subvertly, control and manipulate. He becomes the emperor, and then he just shuts down one army and then solidifies the power of the other, and kills off the Jedi.
Yeah, kills the Jedis. Like right now, kill all the black people, push the button.
Exactly. And what was the biggest problem with the Jedi though? They were too peaceful and they were too clouded by they were blocked off by what was going on right under their noses. You know what I mean? Palpatine was right there.
You know who knew? You know who knew?
Who?
What's her name?
Count Dooku knew what was up.
Count Dooku knew what was up. Darth Maul knew what was up. And what's her name? His apprentice, Anakin's apprentice. She knew what was up.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka knows what's
Yeah.
up. She started to realize what was up, but fucking Obi-Wan wasn't paying attention. Obi-Wan he's a Jedi, you know what I mean? He has to follow the old rules, you know what I mean? So when Ahsoka figured it out, you know what I mean? But Obi-Wan's figuring it out, but it's all crazy. It's a whole deeper story.
Because the Jedi end up fighting for a republic that's only protecting part of the galaxy. The ones that are generate enough wealth to be a part of that galactic federation. Sounds a lot like us. You know what I mean? We're only going out protecting the interests of people we think bring us enough money in. And really, it's if you can't, or as soon as we're done with you, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's a crazy situation we in, but...
what's this flag that you're carrying? Now, everybody been asking us what's the flag. So
this is the Ivory Coast flag, Cote d'Ivoire, right next to Ghana. Ghanaians and Ivorians, we're like the same people. A lot of us are of the same tribes, I guess. And this is just what I learned from my dad, but the French conquered the Ivory Coast and the English conquered Ghana and just separated the two. You know what I mean? But we're the same people. I know it looked like the Irish flag and like the...
Why do you carry it?
I just, you know what I mean? I just in the past couple of years have even had the privilege of learning about my African heritage because my mom is African American. She's from the United States, and has the same story as a lot of black people here, can trace her history back to slavery, you know what I mean? And further back from white blood, from intermarriage, but aside from that, but my dad is from the Ivory Coast. And me and him, we've gotten a lot closer in the past couple of years, and you know, I just really wondered about my African side, you know, and I know a lot of black people, you know, we don't get the privilege of knowing exactly where in Africa. It's a huge continent, you know, and people say shit like, go back to Africa. It's like, where would I even go? I don't know which spot I'm from.
Africa's a country.
Right. It's 52 countries, sometimes 54, depending on what war is going on, you know? But, you know, I've just been trying to learn more and more about that heritage and, like, you know, my role, were I to go over there, you know, and you know, what our family, even what my name means. Like, I found out my last name, Nyamyen, means, you know, through God, except God, in my dad's, you know, native language and everything. So even knowing that, you know, what my name meant, for the longest I hated my last name because people would mispronounce it, and, you know, people would just say that it's got a silent G, so people would be like, Ganamanam or Janamia, whatever your name is. And my mom's last name is Johnson. That's her maternal last name. I wanted to change my last name to Johnson for the longest, just so I could have some regular shit. You know what I mean?
But then you realize how important your last name is, and like later, like how special you are. You're like, damn, I got a special name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when you're a kid and they like tease you about your like real heritage, and you're like, damn, like that's a part of the oppression. You know what I mean? Like, we're black, we're African.
Right.
We're African.
Right.
Our names aren't, my name ain't Brian Odin. That's my name when my parents named me, but like, that wouldn't have been my name if we didn't, nah.
Exactly, you know, and people make fun of, you know, the names that people, like black people, you know, kind of come up with over the years, like, you know, DeJounte or Trey Mario or things like that, or all the Luz, you know, but, you know, a lot of that is, you know, when we talk about genetics, you have the traits that physically and visually pop up in you, but there are traits in you that are just innate, that just kind of come out. And a lot of black people have, you know, like French blood in them. So it's gonna come out to want to kind of give something with a French sounding name to it. I have French blood. You know what I mean? And it's just
because our plantation is in Baton Rouge.
Yep. My family, I think, was originally from Alabama, but it moved from South Carolina. Okay. But also had some family in
my dad's family's from Alabama.
Yep.
And my mom's family's from Baton Rouge.
A lot of people from Alabama I know moved up to Detroit, because like almost everybody in Detroit, I feel like.
So my dad's family moved from Alabama to Akron.
Oh, okay. Because that's where all the work was. All the factories.
Yeah, my granddad worked in the tire factory. My uncles worked in Michelin. But my granddad worked at one and my uncle worked at the other one, and they had big positions here.
Right. Then all them factories shut down.
Yeah. And they got cancer from all that stuff, you know what I mean? There's so many effects of working in those factories. You know, my uncle had just recently passed from cancer, and you know, my dad was like going back and forth to help him, but yeah, it was serious, yes. Serious.
That's so many different levels of fight that just regular people got to deal with, you know. It's like always gonna be another ism we have to deal with, you know, whether it's racism or sexism, you know what I mean, or any of that shit. Like even right now, you know, while we're trying to, while Black Lives Matter is, you know, trying to make a case in point, matter is like the bare minimum, you know what I'm saying? We trying to make a case in point that black lives like also matter, and then you got a group of brothers that are gonna go out and murder a black trans woman in cold blood while wearing Black Lives Matter shirts, you know what I'm saying? At a certain point, you know, you gotta realize like, okay, you can disagree with the way somebody lives, even though it really ain't none of your damn business, but it's like,
what good is killing another human being just because, you know what I mean? I was watching the video, I think I was watching a video yesterday talking about how, I guess, Black Lives Matter represents the LGBT community, and it was some black people talking about it and downing it. I'm like, this video is weird, bro. Like, y'all just weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're more weird than them for like just saying, you know what I mean? Like, Like, who cares what their identity is? That's none of your business. Like, that's their lifestyle. You know what I mean? And like, if Black Lives Matter is representing the LGBT community that's black, I've had I've seen more gay people out here marching with me, supporting me than, you know what I mean?
Straight up.
I've met so many cool, down-to-earth fucking gay people.
It's really
marching out
gay
here
people
with
and women is out here the most.
supporting us. And you know what I mean? I'm like, where are you guys at though?
Right.
In my city, you know what I mean? Where are you guys at? You know what I mean? If you gotta call somebody out for the way they live, you know what I mean? Like, but you can't be out here at the police station with us, like trying to ask for change.
Right.
And this little, you calling him all kinds of names, where he at the police station with us, about to get his ass kicked with us. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather hang around with him anyway.
Right.
Motherfucker, stand up.
Who really with the shit? You know what I'm saying? This is the shit. When we talk about being with the shit, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Even I see a lot of rappers, you know what I mean, that's normally talking all that shit like, nigga, I kill a nigga yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And I love rap. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, all right, nigga. Now it's time. It's like, all right, there's a real enemy. You know what I mean? Where you at? Are you ready? I'm ready. And I'm not normally a shooterific nigga. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is I know what's right and wrong, and I know when there's a battle that is worth fighting. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to pick up a sword. But if it's for a just cause, you know what I mean? I'm most definitely gonna pick up my sword and I'm gonna swing the fuck out of it. You know what I mean? And it's like enough of us gotta feel like that, and you gotta show up and show out consistently. You know what I mean? Because otherwise it's just hot air to the opposition. Because here we're fighting a battle in our own country. We're not our own separate entity with a military, you know what I'm saying, doing covert ops or invading or anything. This is at home, which again does make it scarier. You know what I mean? Even us, you know what I mean? All of us that come out here every day. You know what I mean?
What's gonna happen to me when I go home?
Exactly.
What's gonna happen to me? They know my social media.
Right.
They know all my information.
Right.
What's gonna happen to me when I'm on my way home? Am I safe for speaking up? We obviously know that we're not safe when we spoke up and they replied with fucking rubber bullets.
Right.
You know, we start seeing all these different little things happening, so am I safe? And it gets to a point where you don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't care no more.
Right. Cause it's like, feel me? Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Are you gonna live on your knees or die on your feet? You know what I mean? I always say like I don't have kids, you know what I mean? But I feel like to most people I feel like legacy is important, you know? Death is a terrifying thing to all of us, and so to leave behind a story and still be talked about is something most people I feel like strive for, you know what I mean? But what it really comes down to is what are your kids gonna think of you if you wanna have kids, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I wanna have kids, I wanna have a whole mess of kids, so you know what I mean? 15 years from now or something, 20 years from now, if my kid is in school, you know, and they're talking about what happened right now, no matter how this turns out for us, you know, win or lose, when they're talking about it, if my kid comes home and asks me like, well, Dad, like you were like in your 20s when that was going down, like what were you doing? I don't want to say like, you know, I was
sitting at home playing John Madden.
Yeah, I was, you know, I was at the crib, you know, it was cats out there, but I remember it happened. I want to be like, no, son, daughter, I was out there in the streets, you know what I'm saying? I tried, or we succeeded. Hopefully I get to say we succeeded. Here's some reparations allowance, child. You know what I'm saying? Reparations, that's a whole other thing we gotta fight for. We just fighting for basic civility right now. You know what I mean? Reparations, that's
a whole different topic.
Right.
We just want equal rights right now.
Right.
We just don't want you to kill us, but we do need our reparations. You can keep the mule though. But
right. I'll take some land.
We need the land.
You know what I mean? I'll take some land. You can give me land anywhere. I'll take it in North Dakota, South. Yeah.
They got a lot of empty land.
Nevada?
They give us a whole strip of land.
Right. They could give a lot of people land. They try and act like it ain't no room in America for people like complaining about immigrants coming over here and shit. Montana has 1 million people that live in Montana. There's 1.5 million people that live in San Jose.
We can make
There's
our
plenty
own
of
shit.
space.
Yeah.
Come on in. Only thing we should be worried about is don't bring no bullshit. That's the only thing we should be worried about with immigration is like, all right, bro, just don't come over here on no shit. But let's not act like we don't need people's minds and hands to come over here and keep pushing this nation forward. Because that's the only thing that built us. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear that shit. They don't.